Joy Brooks and Lucy with email and coffee. I just woke her up. So I'm doing a little series here about ESPs. What's your ESP, Lucy? And it's meant really to help small business, medium-sized business, perhaps enterprise businesses, perhaps make a decision about a platform or tech stack or just get some information out there. Today I'm speaking with Emily, and Emily's going to tell us just a itsy bits about herself, and then she's going to tell us about the ESP that she's using and why she's using it. So take it away, Emily.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me, Joy. Always good to see you. I am currently the Senior Lifecycle Marketing Manager at Close, which is a CRM. So we are B2B SaaS, which I think is an important distinction, especially when you're talking tech stack. But I have been an email marketer for over a decade now, which is wild for me. Like Ty, and that's still a baby for some folks, but it's wild to think about how much time has passed and honestly how much the industry has changed in just the time I've seen it. And yeah, started as an email marketer at a specialty food store, e-commerce, hospitality industry kind of thing. And then started in e-commerce and slowly made my way over to the SaaS B2B side. And it's so wild how different it is. I miss e-commerce sometimes. I miss it.
That's really that begs to speak about the ESPs and the differences between
Yeah,
them.
for sure. Yeah. And like, yeah, well, and even ESPs, I see like even that category is changing. And I feel like I saw a distinction or a discussion the other day that even these product categories, we can't make up our mind on what they're called. Like some people still call them CRMs, even if they are technically an ESP or a map, a marketing automation platform, which a lot of those tools are that, but we somehow, I don't know, we just confuse the categories so much. But yeah, ESPs, I've worked in probably a dozen of them. And when I started at Close, we use Customer, which I love, and it's one of the reasons I joined. Because I mean, I'm not going to bash on any other marketing automation platforms or ESPs, but I'd worked in Close before, and it is the ease of use, in my opinion, is excellent, but more so uh, the way it can ingest more data than most tools built for small and mid-market businesses. And I know there are enterprise companies that use Customer IO. We are not Closes under 200 employees. So we're still a little small and mighty, and I'm the one managing all of our lifecycle programs. So for me, I need scalability and I need a resource that I can use with as little engineering help as possible. And not that I don't still need engineering help, I do. But the main reason I really like the tool is because data pipelines, the amount of data you can pipe into it and the price point it's at, like in order, like our, all of our many of our product behavioral data points are piped directly into Customer IO as events. And a lot of other tools would probably cost you 2 or 3 times as much as we're paying for Customer IO because you need those high level, they could sort of gate those into those higher tier pricing plans. And in my opinion, like when I was consulting and freelancing, I worked with some startups who were using Customer IO because of the technical capacity it has at the price point. And
I don't want to interrupt you, but before we go somewhere else, how are you piping them in? So they're coming from the shopping cart? They're coming
No,
from apps? Like, where is the data coming from?
good question. So yeah, we are a SaaS tool. So we are a CRM. So all the, not all, but some key behavioral points inside the product that users are doing. Those are piped from our back end through Segment. We use Segment as our CDP. And that allows us to like see in real time what any sort of high intent behaviors of our customers or even inactivity, so we can help guide them to the right point inside of the product. So that really comes in handy, especially with onboarding. We do have a trial. So we have a trial onboarding program, and when somebody signs up and becomes a customer, right now I have been experimenting a lot with like behavioral dynamic content inside of emails to help guide people through the things they need to do inside the product in order to take advantage of their trial or like be set up for success as a new customer. So yeah, it's those kind of things. Like, how are we supporting our customers to, obviously use the tool in the way they need to get the stuff they need to get stuff done. So in this case, sales, right? And we support a lot of small businesses, really, trying to make their dreams happen through sales. So um, it's fun to be able to experiment. And I've been experimenting with some OpenAI webhooks between Customer IO and our OpenAI to try and see if we can do some personalized generative content and recommending next steps to users based on their behavior. So those are all still in the infancy, but it's fun to be able to play around.
Yeah, I mean, because you're a SaaS company, there's a specific niche here that we're talking about. So the
Yeah,
fact that you're CRM and data heavy may be unusual for others, but it's not necessarily, as you mentioned before, other companies may be piping different types of behaviors or data points in for different reasons. So it may
sure.
be sales, but it could be commerce.
Right. Yep,
It could be
for
from the
sure.
website. It could be a touch on the website. It could
For
be
sure. Yes. And
so.
we also, that's the other thing that Customer ID does that not a lot of other ESPs do is like you can see page activity. And it's shocking to me, like sometimes when I've worked at other places and be like, well, can't we target people if they looked at this page on our website because that's showing high intent or that they're either ready to buy or they're ready to churn. And they're like, no, we can't do that with our tool. How do you do that? And I'm like, wait, what? And it's some
That's
of
when
like,
you start meeting engineers where you're like, okay, so we'll have an API that'll, pop, and it gets very complicated.
yeah, and that's a built-in feature in Customer IO that is like very powerful. And like,
What is
yeah, and even go
what are
ahead.
some of the function? I'm sorry. What are some of the functions that are customer IO specific that lend to different, like HubSpot is social, right? So what types of built-in functionality does customer IO lend itself to different types of businesses?
Oh, good question. Yeah. So, I think they initially were uh, niched into SaaS. And I think that's a really good use case for it. But I'm seeing more and more e-commerce customers or people I talk to who are in e-commerce who are saying they use it, which makes sense because it has the ability to do all of that kind of stuff. If you have your data structured in a way that it can do. Um, but in B2B, I feel like in B2B SaaS, I feel like it's been very beneficial to me. But again, like I'm seeing the use case expand outside of SaaS. So, but I think part of that is because like you can ingest all this data, and especially for if you're looking at customer lifecycle, if you're looking at people who are using your product and you want to figure out how to nurture them from like, yeah, getting them onboarded, getting them running inside your product and retained, and then also like upselling based on certain features or behaviors, it's been incredibly beneficial to be able to look at those behaviors and trigger off of those things to get that message to folks as quickly as possible.
Have there been any surprises, any solutions or tools or something that had helped solve that? You know, you might have been in a tight bind. Sometimes ESPs can surprise you what they, like it's like, oh yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
Easy.
Well, like real-time triggers, when an event fires, being able to trigger as soon as it fires, like that is not all ESPs can do that. So being able to do that. The other thing I will say is their A/B testing, especially in journeys. They also have a message holdout functionality that are not that's not built into a lot of ESPs or maps. Um, and so like even just trying to create my own A/B testing and measuring inside of it. So that's the other thing I will say is um, reporting is a challenge for all ESPs, all marketing automation platforms. It's tough, right? Because depending on the program you're running, you're going to have a different goal for that program, right? Like, in e-commerce, generally the goal is, did they place an order? Gosh, I miss those days. But, in SaaS, it's like I want to run a campaign and we have a new feature launch. And I want to see, did somebody actually use the feature that I'm promoting? And so I'm able to set event-based goals on their campaigns as measurable goals. So I can set individual conversion points depending on the program. And that has its pros and cons. But I haven't been able to see a lot of places do that, or a lot of other tools do that out of the box. Granted, I did inherit our customer setup. So a lot, that data was already piped and structured before I started, but have been able to work with our engineering team to get that done in other ways I needed to manipulate it as well. So, yeah, like I can set up a campaign and on one feature, and I want to say I want to run this specific campaign to get more users aware of a particular feature, exploring it, and eventually adopting it. And I can measure based on that behavior. And that is something I haven't. Chef's Kiss is amazing. I haven't run across in a lot of other tools.
You simply you said before that it could be an entry level tool. So price wise,
Mm-hmm.
without necessarily mentioning dollars and cents, what are we talking about here? Is it something that, let's say, a solopreneur should get involved in, or is it like, no, it's a little bit out of your limit? How about if you're a team of three
Yeah.
or something like that, a marketing department maybe, like
Yeah.
what do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would like, I mean, it's tough. So, I mean, every business is different, right? And I think, I don't know. So we're on like a, custom contract plan, and it's unique to our business needs. The volume of emails we send, the number of profiles we have. But I would say it is,
Pricing based on both sends and contacts?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's all, wrapped up
Okay.
in that custom contracting price. But out of the box, I'm really not sure. It's been a while since I've like worked with a small startup company on what it is out of the box. Um, but I would say as soon as you have like, more than a few hundred users that you're trying to manage, and in my opinion, especially for SaaS, it depends on the size of your customer base, what you're looking at and how you're trying to manage them and your communication with them. And I would start looking at a tool like Customer IO if you have like a few hundred users that you're trying to navigate and onboard, activate, and retain, all that kind of stuff. So it's really best for like a customer marketing tool in SaaS. I
Customer
would,
diet.
yeah, exactly. It's not, you can use it for lead nurturing and things like that. It is definitely something that would be beneficial that you could, make happen, but its best use case is for marketing to your customers, your customer base,
Gotcha.
um, especially in SaaS because you have a lot more data points.
Right.
Um,
You mentioned offline. You mentioned something about apps, and I think that's important because a lot of um, companies do have apps, and sometimes they're proprietary. Sometimes, the thing is, here, this is when you start building the tech stack, and you're all over the place. And now you've got a programmer for this and a programmer for that, so tell me a little bit about that interaction, that gateway.
yeah, in terms of our tech stack, um, yeah, I mean, oh, that's a fun question. Tech stacks.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Uh,
complicated, and it
mhm.
needs to be said. It's almost a different conversation, but since we're talking about SaaS, let's bring in all the intricacies of the SaaS type of organization.
Yeah, I mean, if you are having to cobble get together your tech stack, like definitely looking at how things integrate together is, you know, going to be huge. But like they do have like a native data pipeline. And so like they've essentially built their own CDP. We don't use it because that's a relatively new feature in the last couple of years. Um, and that would be a messy migration, but like your CDP can help you like bring all of those things together. But we do have a few tools that we have had to cobble together to make it work, and that's a lot of those things are piped through our CDP segment into Customer IO. So if you have, again, you might need the data experience to be able to set those things up. Otherwise, like Zapier is still an option, even though it's not the
Option
most
is the option.
right. Yeah. And, it's not the most ideal thing, but, better than nothing, right?
Well, before you can, if you're playing with it and you're trying to determine how important it is, you know, is there anything there? You could use Zapier, you could move the data around, or you could do what you need to do, and at
hmm
some like, oh no, this is important. We're going to have to hire somebody to write a custom IO.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Like even just webinar platforms, I am astonished sometimes how like people run webinars and they do not have any of that connected to their ESP. And so they're like, okay, well, we sent out one email invitation. We're good, right? For that webinar, but we only got like 30 registrants, and you need to keep, obviously, one email isn't enough for an event like that. And so I've been able to like, do a webhook inside Customer with our webinar platform and pull in our event registrants so that I can send out more than one email and not send the same and obviously suppress anybody who's already registered. You'd be surprised, like over the years when I was freelancing consulting, I'm sure you run into this yourself. How many folks do not have the ability to suppress their webinar registrants from their emails? It's wild to me. um so yeah, you're able to like figure it out, and there are like webhooks you can set up in Customer.io, but there's a lot of different ways to do it. And like this year, I've been using their in-app features. So like we're running a webinar right now that's mainly geared towards our customers, but obviously we're promoting it to, folks who are not our customers as well. So now I'm able to like pair, okay, this email went out about our webinar, and this in-app message, and how is in-app message performing against email invites? And it's pretty fascinating to watch, being able to like compare these channels and how they're triggered and how people are interacting with stuff.
Yeah, email marketing can get pretty deep. I mean,
Yeah,
put your galoshes on because it can get pretty deep, and that's
100%.
that's the beauty of it. Although the data end of it can be intimidating. Are you using? How are they on? You mentioned something about data tools, but that's behaviors on data. What about on the analytical end?
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, I mean, these are the pros and
Yeah.
cons.
Mhm. Yeah, so we're in a transition period with reporting at my company, and migrating between different tools and data warehouses and stuff like that. So um I recently got um our customer IO data out, piped out from the tool into Segment, and we use Amplitude, as that's we use that more for like product analytics. But I'm able to get the data out of Customer IO and start using Amplitude to start building dashboards, which has been so beneficial, because I mentioned like you can set custom conversion events per email journey, or like they call them broadcasts, newsletters, whatever word we're using for one-time sends. Um, and some of those programs, like they have multiple goals. So, like for example, a newsletter, I send out a monthly newsletter to our customers. And, obviously it's got some sort of educational content in it, but also like maybe 3 of our recent feature releases, some new features that we want to highlight. So can I go in and look at, based on who opened or clicked the email, did anybody activate into one of those 3 features? And so now I can start seeing that in Amplitude a little bit better, as opposed to like hacking through
Well,
whatever or just guessing,
yeah. I mean, it's uh, finding a tool that has all the bells and whistles is tough,
Ugh,
and then
yeah.
also finding the person that can um, make an opportunity out of all those tools is tough, because some
Yeah.
people may be campaign strong, they may be automation strong, they may be strategy strong, they may be data strong, they may be tech strong, and it's hard to find somebody who could do all those things, or who wants to do any of those things all of the time.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. And then, who can you beg at your company to help you with the like very deep technical stuff sometimes as well. But yeah. Yeah. Everybody's got different strengths, and some
Which
people
is
are.
which is sometimes why people say, "Oh, you know what? I've got a 85% open rate, and I'm happy." All right. I mean, 85 is good. I can't beat that. Okay, and
Yeah.
that's and it's difficult because there may not be a data person.
Right.
There may not be
Yes.
a person.
Yeah. Yep. Good point.
And it's, I mean, this is the world of email marketing. It's
Yeah.
it's as simple as you can possibly imagine. As I said before, put your galoshes on because it gets deep pretty fast. Once you start doing all the manifest destiny things that it can do, for sales, it gets pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. So, was there anything when you went into Customer IO? Was there anything that you didn't know that it did, that you learned, even applied or misapplied? I mean, sometimes you've got to do something and you make it happen. But
Right.
anything like that you discovered within the ESP that was interesting?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. I mean, I have my liquid skills have, yeah. I knew liquid before getting into customer IO and before, my current role, but the it's just gone off the charts with all the data we have. It's like, you are, a kid in a candy store, like, well, we can serve dynamic content based on this, and this. But, the more use cases, the more complicated it gets. But like the ability to even be able to dynamically serve up content in the way that I do and I want to do is shocking. That I can do that in their drag and drop builder, and I can QA it on my own. It takes time. It's
I was
very
going to
labor. Yeah.
I was bring up the QA part.
Yeah, it's very labor intensive. But like that's a skill I've up leveled. But yeah, it takes a lot of time. And so now that becomes a bottleneck. So that's really cool. And also being able to pull out liquid data, or being able to do liquid targeting with event properties is something that I didn't have a lot of experience with before. And we have some data structured that, maybe I want to, uh, maybe I want to target people and show them a certain piece of copy based on so our tool has built-in calling, and we have phone numbers. People can, get phone numbers through us. And, we have some data in these events that tell me somebody's, you know, using one of our phone numbers and making calls. But I need particular types of properties from that, and to be able to tell them, hey, you did this, and this. Isn't that cool? Kind of thing. Now you can try this thing. And so being able to pull that dynamically from event properties is like shocking. I didn't know that customer could do that. And I think you'd have to pay a lot more money for some more well-known tools to be able to do that. Yeah.
So that's sort of like you're now building. You're doing two things here. You're serving dynamic content, but you're also building segments on the fly to some extent, because it's actually going into the database and saying, if they meet all this criteria, do this. But if they
Yes.
meet all this criteria, do that. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like you're aware of the segments that it's building.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
on the
Yep.
fly, sending out the right data. But then
Yeah.
you've got to get it on the other end and go, well,
Exactly.
what did
Exactly.
I do? I don't know what I did. That's the
Yeah.
Q&A part.
Right. Yep. Exactly. And like the grant, like the ability of the kind of granular data I can get is wild. It's wild. But obviously that has to be built in the product and surfaced.
Yeah, and the data really needs to be good data.
Yes. Always,
And
always. Yeah.
that's something that when I'm tasked to do these very technical, I use AppScript because I'm in Salesforce Marketing Cloud. So when I do this, I'll come back to the client and I'll say, you do realize that out of the 900 records that has this particular, that meets the particular overall criteria, 500 of them are blank.
Right.
So they meet the overall criteria, but once you start digging into it, there's no data.
Right.
What
Yeah.
is it that you want to do? It's
Right.
blank. It's
Yeah.
blank.
What's your fault? Yeah. What's your fallback? Like you got to think
Exactly.
about that too. Most
And
people don't
sometimes
think
we're
about
knee
that
deep
part.
in it. We're knee deep in it, and I'll come back and I'll say, "Oh, this is not." We should have done a data discovery before we started this.
Yeah. Well, that's the
So
thing.
yeah,
That's the thing sometimes where I get, a little overwhelmed with brainstorming sessions is we're like, oh, well, we could do this thing, we could do that thing. And wouldn't it be really cool if we could blah, blah, blah. And then, the kiss of death. It's not that hard, right?
it's
And
like, oh, we've got 15,000 people in the database. Great. How many people match that specific criteria? Oh, 170. So what are we doing here for 170 people?
hmm Yep, yep, yep. Is the juice worth the squeeze on that one? Yeah. Yeah. It's fun.
It's
It's
fun.
fun.
It's a lot of fun. The thing is, that is why I do love email marketing because for me, I like galoshes, and it is that deep, and it's not just about oh, let's send them shoes, let's send them socks, let's send them
Right.
sneakers. It's not just that. There's so much more to it.
hmm
So I'm going to ask one last question. Let's see which one that would be. Let's do some deep down bonus questions. What's changed about your ESP lately? Has anything
What,
changed? What's
I
new?
mean, in the tech world, it's AI everything, right? um, Everybody's rolling out AI features, but a couple of things that have been interesting. Oh, well, they got human versus machine opens and clicks, which is, standard for a couple of other ESPs, for marketing automation platforms, but they're doing that now, which is nice. The reporting isn't, scalable on that yet, but at least you can dial in when you need to. Um, I've also been playing with, they released an MCP compatible with, or I'm using that with Claude. And,
I
you
like
know,
Claude.
yeah,
I don't know. I
it's
like the name. I don't know.
right. Yeah, and it's interesting because I feel like there's a lot of promise around MCPs. A lot of people are really excited about the ability to like prompt creating a new segment or researching a bunch of data, pulling counts of users with specific attributes or who run certain events, but like it's still we're still a little far off from that. And because as you mentioned, like your data has to be clean. It has to be very clean. And you can have like 5 attributes in your account that sound similar, but they all mean very different things. So you can like be, chatting with Claude and be like, hey, can you show me the users who are maybe showing some signs of potential churn. And it'll be like, well, I found all of these things and I created this segment and and look what I did. Isn't this cool kind of thing? And you look at it and you're like, those are not the data points. I can see how you thought that, but you still need that human context because data is like it's changing all the time and it's being changed by humans who are naming those things. And if you don't have data governance, which most companies do not, most businesses do not have somebody thinking about data governance, if you have not thought about those things, then it's a mess. It's just a bunch of people creating stuff. And so yeah, I think MCPs are pretty cool. And they could be amazing if we take the time to like structure our data well in a way that is can be read by machines.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, they MCPs are cool. They have that one now. I like I said, I started using their in-app messaging this year. I think they released that maybe 2 years ago. And um with surveys too. And I'm gonna start I have plans to migrate our NPS into customer IO, and they have an AI analyst for surveys. And so I'm very curious about that. Once I can start like getting data into that to see what kind of analysis it can actually do.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is that thinking about your email marketing backwards from the data end
Hmm.
into the things into your strategies is always a bit of a clusterfuck for people because
Yeah.
they're like, what do you want to do? I'm like,
Right.
let's let's see what data we want and see how we can get it. Well, what
Right.
do you mean? Like,
Right.
don't start with the campaign. The goal is not the campaign. The goal is we want this data point. So how do we get it?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's funny.
everybody's going to say we want conversions, but maybe the data point is we have this new product launch and we want to see, how many, whatever it is. So how do we find out? It's very specific. Are
Right.
people clicking into it? What's their
Yep.
intent? They're
Yep.
going. How many people
Yeah.
buy? Are they going to the webinar? Whatever it is, whatever
Right.
and
Right.
building a whole campaign around that data point.
Right.
So that in 6 months, at the end of your campaign, you could say, "Here's all of our data." And it
Right.
may be a launch. Maybe you're thinking about doing a launch. Like, we're going to have a new product. We know in our minds, we know what the product is. We don't want to start scaling out until we know if our customers are going to want it. We think they
Right.
do, but we don't know if they do.
Right.
Some of them asked us for us, but we're not going to, launch this product for 4 people.
Right.
For the 170 out of 15,000, we're not going to do that.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah.
sometimes you've got to go backwards. And that's again, an ESP is not necessarily built for that.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But it's often like what's hacked together to
Yeah.
achieve that goal. And
Exactly.
yeah,
The word is
yeah, it is.
the word is
Yeah.
hacked. And
Yeah. I can hack my way around some stuff. I can cobble some things together. It is astonishing to me sometimes too how most people don't understand how email marketing is so technical. I would say it's one of the most technical marketing roles. And it just has its own idiosyncrasies, and you need to understand data infrastructure and I mean coding. Like most people don't need to, a lot of, not most people, other marketing roles, many of them don't have to worry about coding emails, which is its own animal.
yeah, it's you could get away with it without knowing HTML, but then there's going to come that point where it's like it's not working. Why? I don't know.
Yeah. Why am I
Yeah,
getting a white?
I
Why
don't
am I
know.
exactly? Why am I getting a white line in
Design it.
Outlook? Yeah.
Let's just redesign it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Why is this email breaking on this thing? What? Like,
Well,
yeah.
gee, what was it? The 14th, 15th? What day was it? It was when Windows 10 went to bed.
Oh, yeah. I heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
When
So many B2B
I go back
marketers.
from now, people are still going to say, yeah, but it's breaking in Windows 10. But now I can say, I know. No, no
Yeah.
more. I've
Yeah.
said that. I've said that many times because iOS changes. So yeah, Apple changes a lot. What
Yeah.
18? What are they on now?
No idea.
Yeah,
No
whatever.
idea.
And a lot of times it'll come back and through a litmus or an email on acid. Oh, it's breaking in this, in this render, and I'm like, yeah, well, render's not supported anymore. So what can I tell you?
Right. Yep.
It's always a sticking point for companies that are dealing with customers that are on Outlook.
Mm-hmm.
When that reality hits you as an email marketer, you're like,
Right.
oh, customers are on,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. Nope.
I gotta vomit. I'll be right back. And then you come back and you realize, okay, so it's an important render. How
Mm-hmm.
we go back, and it's always been Windows 10, which is like, why are they not? Companies can't just roll out new operating systems.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
They can't do that. So when they've got a functioning office and they're all on Windows 10 and everything is set up to work on Windows 10, come next Monday they're not going to introduce something new. Odds are. But now they're forced to. So
Right.
bye-bye Windows 10. Bye-bye.
Yeah. So fun.
Anything you want to add after my Windows 10 rant? Anything you want to add about
I will
anything?
say, I feel like some people, really like any tool, it needs to be evaluated for your use case and your tech stack. And I, you know, I like Customer IO for my use case. It works for what I'm trying to do. Um, but my use case might not be like somebody else's. And, everybody has a different budget and they have different opinions at their company that they have to think about. And so if anybody is evaluating email service providers, I would say look at your tech stack first and make sure that it's going to work with it. And or at least have somebody on your team who can help you evaluate that decision. And I'm thinking specifically about small businesses who are strapped for resources and are just trying to make a choice. And, if that's you, then like you might and you're new to email marketing, then you might just have to try out a couple different tools to see if it's going to work for you. And that's a finding process. If you have the privilege of having a budget and maybe somebody on your team who has the knowledge, experience, or expertise to help you fully evaluate, then I would go make a very thoughtful decision about it. And take your time, because like we were talking before this started, migrations are not fun. Yeah, very painful. Yeah, I remember I think I learned email marketing on Bronto. Did you ever hear of Bronto? Yes. And like yeah, because it is now extinct. And it worked for the use cases that I, worked in. But then when they announced that they were sunsetting it after the Oracle bottom, like that's not fun to have to figure out how to move all of your stuff into something else. And, as we mentioned, there's so many different tools that are connected to try and pipe data to your system. And it's not a joy.
And in many times the company's salesperson is going to sell you their grandmother.
Oh, for sure. For sure. They will tell you can do all the things. So having somebody who has the technical experience and expertise is a really big deal. But, again, it all depends on your resources, your business side, the complexity of your tech stack. There's so many factors. So not everything is the right fit for everyone.
Not everything.
Yeah.
The shoe doesn't fit. One size doesn't fit all. I finally
Right.
got the right expression. I was going through the shoe, the size. One size doesn't fit all.
Yeah, we knew where you were heading with it. We got the
Yeah,
picture.
I didn't know what I was saying, but everyone else. Hours before I said it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate everything that you've shared. Usually, well, at least I think I said it once before, but in case I didn't, in many cases, someone like Emily or myself wouldn't mind having the conversation with someone if they're looking into making a decision. So if you'd like to have a 15-minute conversation, and I'm not saying that Emily's going to give them away, but I'm merely saying, if you want to have a conversation with an experienced email marketer, I would suggest, instead of asking sales, go look up email marketing on LinkedIn. Look at different email marketers and maybe reach out to them and see if they want to have a conversation with you, because they'll give you the dirt.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
They'll give you
Especially like there are MarTech consultants out there who will help you like navigate all of that. I am not one of them, but they are out there and they have seen the things and they know what's up
as long as they're not, lobbying for a particular tool, which
for
is the
sure.
problem. Again, they'll sell you their grandmother because, oh, did I
Exactly.
tell you I make a commission on that? Oh, I didn't tell you
Right.
that.
Yep, that is a good
Oh,
distinction
did
as
you know
well.
I was white labeling that? You didn't know that, did you? Oh, well, okay.
Right,
So
exactly.
um, that's where the problem lies. But otherwise, hey, happy email marketing, you all. as
Exactly.
as Anne as Tomlin would say, happy email marketing, y'all. It's it's a lot, and it's fun, and it's I've found it pretty satisfying.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Scratches a lot of itches, creative and technical.
Yeah, at the end of the day, usually what you say is they can't pay me enough for this shit. That's usually what I say at the end of the day. It's like because they I went in and we were doing something simple and suddenly it became very technical, and they had no clue that they had just stepped into the twilight zone. Thanks, Em.
Yeah, thank you. Always a pleasure to chat.
And that's a wrap, right, Lucy? Oh, Lucy's.